If you can hear me, please type in yes in the chat box or in the question box. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. Let's start then. My name is Hoda Mohammed. I'll be introducing your webinar today with Robert Fernandez from BIFM, the evolution of facilities management. Let me first start with a few housekeeping rules. The slides will be available on our SlideShare page and the link will be emailed to you. So as the recording of the webinar will also be available to you. There is a post-webinar survey. We would really appreciate it if you can take the time and fill it out. You can also type your question throughout the whole webinar and Robert will be answering them, and also there would be some time at the end if you have extensive questions. Let me start by introducing Robert. Robert is a skilled facilities management consultant and he has actually run Understanding Facilities Management this week for us. It was a very successful course. He has developed a wide range of experience in all areas of facilities management over the last 25 years. This experience was gained firstly as a senior property management professional within the financial services sector and more recently as a highly motivated facilities management consultant. So I will let you now start with Robert. Over to you.
Great, thanks for the introduction, Hoda. Hi everybody. I first came across facilities management, which I will say, I'll call it FM from time to time, forgive me for that, when I worked for an American bank in their UK operation in London. In the bank, I was responsible for the sourcing, the acquisition, the leasing, the design, the construction, and the subsequent occupation and management of all their UK properties. After some years, I decided to set up my own FM consultancy, and that's what I've been doing for about 25 years. I'm a fellow of the BIFM. Hoda mentioned that I was a member, I'm actually a fellow of the BIFM, the British Institute of Facilities Management. In recent times, the BIFM has developed and is now offering a qualification at various levels, right up to degree level. Well, I have to tell you, I'm delighted that these qualifications are in place, but I'm only sorry that these were not available when I was setting out in my FM career. Well, there you go. That's tough. So it may be getting a bit late for me to take advantage of these educational opportunities, but, and here's the point, it's not too late for me to be concerned for up-and-coming FMs. And it's not too late for me to do what I can to encourage the next generation of those who want to make a difference in the field of FM. And so I've become involved in training facilities managers. Hoda mentioned I've just completed a course here in Dubai and it's successful, which I'm glad to say. People seem to like it, that's good. So together with BIFM training in the UK and Informa here in Dubai, I've developed a 4-day course entitled Understanding Facilities Management. It's aimed primarily at those who may be new to FM, but what I find is it's equally helpful for those who are more experienced, who just want a better understanding, a better framework, if you will. So, are you exploring FM to see if it's something you should be getting into? Or are you wondering what the next steps in your career are in FM? Well, let me ask you to listen to what I have to say this afternoon as I talk about the evolution of facilities management. And the reason is this: I don't think there's ever been a better time to be in facilities management. And as you listen to the webinar, it may help you to decide whether you could benefit from attending my course at some point in the future. As you'd expect, though, with a webinar like this, I'm going to be addressing questions like, what exactly is FM? What are the key current developments in FM? And finally, where is it all heading? So the first part of my talk this afternoon, I want to look with you at the the scope, the extent of FM. And we'll see how it's continued to change and develop. So if you're ready, let's get started. Now, whenever I come to Dubai or anywhere else in the region, I'm always amazed at the buildings and the infrastructure. And the point is, it has all happened so quickly. And you know, something similar has happened with FM. 25 years ago in the UK, FM was an afterthought. Now, it is big business. How big? This big. You've got this on your screens, haven't you? This big. The UK FM sector, FM as a proportion of GDP is 5%. Now, did you get that? 5%. The UK FM market in 2012 was £106 billion, and the UK FM market predicted to be in 2017 over 117 billion pounds. Now, the Chancellor would love to get his hands on money like that. I'm sorry that that's 2 years out of date. I'm looking for more information about this. I've been on Google. I've tried it all. I can't find it. So you're going to have to settle for this, people. So, but what this statistic tells me is this, that 1 in 5 workers in the UK are employed in the FM sector. It's actually more than that. And why do I say that? Tell you why. Because those who are employed in the sector, cleaners, similar, are not that well paid. So the number of people employed in the sector could be, not saying it is, could be as high as 10%. 1 in 10 people in the UK employed in the FM sector. Can that really be the case? Well, if it is, that's big business. But it's not surprising that the FM sector is big business, because the individual components that make up that number are quite large themselves. Let me share with you details of some contracts which I've seen reported in the UK media. And here we are. If I can get this moving, I'm having trouble here. Moving this on. Hold on a second, guys. Okay. Okay, don't worry, I'll continue talking and I'll try and get that one there. Next slide. No, it's there. I'm changing on there. Hold on, people. Slight technical hitch. We're on the case. Because that's it. Okay, you got it. Can you see now? These are 3 contracts. Thank you. 3 contracts which I have picked out to talk about. And let's see what this first one is. Serco. You may or may not know this big, well-known UK service provider. They've won a £100 million 10-year contract to deliver FM services to the RAF, the Royal Air Force. Now, not so long ago, support services like cleaning, maintenance, were carried out by RAF staff. With Serco's contract in place, it means that the RAF can focus on military matters and leave civilian jobs to the private, that is, the FM sector. Interesting? And here's another example. Balfour Beatty, another big UK service provider. They've won a 25-year contract worth 250 million. And what's it for? It's to replace, to operate, and to maintain the City of Coventry's streetlights. Now, let me ask you, would you call replacing, operating, and maintaining streetlights facilities management? Well, let me tell you something, Balfour Beatty do. And just look at the value of that contract. £250 million. And what about the other one there? Thames Water, the organisation that supplies fresh water to the whole of London, have awarded a £1 billion contract. Do these numbers sound big? Well, that's because they are big. Two large UK contractors have signed a deal with them worth 500 million each, half a billion each, over the next 5 years. They will provide services such as clean water system repair, maintenance, leak detection, construction of new water mains. And what I find interesting about this contract is this. I always thought these services were Thames Water's core business. But here they are, content to outsource this work to FM contractors. Just a couple of observations. Yes, FM is big business. In the case we just looked at, the contract, this is the Thames Water one, the contract was so big that two competitors had to pool the resources to take it on. And the point is that it wasn't a contractor selling a service here, it was the client pushing the contractor to take on a contract that actually was too big for their liking. This is fascinating, isn't it? And also, there's a growing trend for organizations to outsource areas of the business that until now have been regarded as part of their core business. The question is, what is FM and what is core business? It's getting more and more difficult to say which is which. What was once considered core is considered core no longer. Okay, so FM is big business. What about FM and its contribution to the organization? Well, one key responsibility of FM is the effective management of real estate. I think you're probably aware of that. You're probably also aware that the cost of real estate, renting, occupying a building, is the next highest cost to an organization after staff costs. Well, this calls for more intelligent use of the real estate owned or leased by the organization. In the UK, smart lease management is reducing the number and the length of leases, not quite down to the levels that we have in the Middle East, but much less than they have been. And closely connected with the use of real estate assets, FM is also committed to making best use of costly office space. Now, studies in the UK indicate that at any given point in time, about 50% of workstations are unused. So FM is promoting the introduction of new working styles like desk sharing to take advantage of the space savings that can be made. And significant real estate savings have been generated by the introduction of agile working, desk sharing, call it what you will, wherever it makes sense to do so. But more important is the improved efficiency of staff who are provided with the workspace that best suits the way they work. Initiatives like these are a key component of corporate change management and involve FM translating high-level policy decisions into real changes on the ground. Another area in which FM operates is the area of security. Now, where security is an FM responsibility, it is delivering business continuity and workforce protection at a time when security threats are only too real. I don't have to remind you about that. In a time of increasing global tension, FM assumes responsibility for developing contingency arrangements to ensure the business will remain operational come what may. And this includes providing protection for both staff and corporate assets. Well, most of you will be familiar with those areas in which FM operates, like M&E, operation and maintenance, security, janitorial, cleaning, waste disposal, window washing, utilities. But what about these? Energy and sustainability. Now, in some organizations, there may be a separate department responsible for this. But you know, in many small and medium-sized organizations, that responsibility has been allocated to FM. And what about this one? Once again, some larger organizations, there may well be a separate health and safety department. But what about smaller organizations? What do they do? Well, they'll often allocate that responsibility to FM. Here's a question. Why not to HR? After all, health and safety is mainly about protecting people, isn't it? But it usually ends up as an FM responsibility. And what happens when an organization decides to close down its server room and have its IT in the cloud? What's the logical thing to do with residual IT support? You got it. It gets given, allocated, awarded to FM. And the big question is this. Why? Why are these responsibilities allocated to FM? Well, I think there are two answers that I can think of. And the first one's this. FM is still an emerging, I could use the word evolving, discipline, and no one is really sure where the boundaries are. And by the way, that includes facilities managers themselves. Even they don't know for sure where it's all heading. And the second is this. It concerns the kind of person who is attracted to FM. And what I mean by that is this. The typical FM is a problem solver. Many of the tasks that come to FMs are problems they've never come across before. But they don't, as a rule, say, sorry, that's not my responsibility. No. They're more likely to say, no problem, leave it to me, I will sort it. So you see, it's almost inevitable that the scope and extent of FM is just going to continue to grow. Let me give you an example of what I mean. It concerns the different professionals and contractors who might be employed by a facilities manager during a fitting out project. Now, you're probably aware that a big part of FM is undertaking projects like relocation, fitting out, and very often the FM will be the person who acts as project manager. In this role, she will be expected to scope the project and then to select and appoint and manage the professionals and contractors. Well, here are some of the professionals who might be employed on a typical fitting out project. You might recognize. Do you know how many years it takes for an architect to become qualified? It takes 7 years. What about M&E engineers? They also undergo rigorous professional education and training. And the same applies to interior designers and all the other professionals involved in a project. On the other hand, as we talked about earlier, it's only recently that FMs in the UK have become qualified. So we have the unusual, even some people might say ludicrous, situation where someone with no qualifications, except experience, is responsible for big budget projects. And that includes the assessing, selection, appointment, and managing of these highly trained professional consultants and contractors. So what I'm saying is this. From its humble beginnings, FM is evolving into a high-level, strategically important discipline. It touches every part of the business and makes a growing contribution to its success. And the good news is this. Companies increasingly recognize the part that FM can play in achieving corporate goals and objectives. So, having explored how FM is evolving today, and in conclusion, let's give some thought to where it may be heading. And the way I want to do it is by asking you to think about a couple of examples. And the first one is this. Now, let me ask you, would you call provisioning this vessel and pampering its passengers facilities management? I mean, if you asked the owners of this magnificent vessel what business they were in, they would proudly say they were in the high-end cruise business. If you asked them what they were selling and what their customers were buying, they'd probably use words like delivering unparalleled luxury, and that is clearly true. However, let's just consider how they achieve that. What exactly do they provide to their customers? Accommodation, yep. Air conditioning, yep. Cleaning, yep. Laundry, lighting, catering. Get it? It sounds a great deal like facilities management to me. Now let me talk about a Middle East icon that you're all familiar with. How about this one? Would you say that looking after this building and its high net worth guests can be called facilities management? As we did with the cruise liner, think about it. What this amazing hotel is providing to its guests: accommodation, air conditioning, cleaning, laundry, lighting. Need I go on? Once again, it sounds like a great deal like facilities management to me. So, let's draw some threads together. What exactly is FM? What is it evolving into? Now, the rise of FM has been amazing. We've seen immense change in so many ways just over the last few years. In the years ahead, will things like cruise ships and hotels simply be considered a niche area of facilities management? Well, why don't we arrange to meet again in 5 years' time and find out how things have evolved by then. In the meantime, thank you for listening to me this afternoon. I hope you find it stimulating. Who knows, one of these days I may see you on one of my courses. And now, if you have any questions or comments, I'd be pleased to take them. Thank you. What I'd be particularly, what I'd really like to know from you guys out there is, did you find this provocative? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Any comments would be welcome. Where? Okay. Oh yeah, can I just say that in order to ask the question, you need, of course, to type it out on the appropriate part. Happy to take your questions.
All right then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining in. I suppose there aren't any questions as of now, but in case there's something that comes up in your mind after you're done with the webinar, please feel free to ask us, email us, or even call us up with anything. Yeah, we have somebody who says, okay, I think I'm just waiting for one person to put down their question. All right, great. We have two questions.
Okay, well, let's deal with the question which asks about certification in FM. I mentioned to you the British Institute of Facilities Management. I know that they do distance learning qualifications, So I suggest that the best avenue for you to explore would be to check out the BIFM, I think it's .org.uk website, and explore on there what it says about certification and qualification. And by the way, the whole thing about qualification in this area, it recognizes that people who've been doing this for a while have covered a lot of ground. So it's not as if you've got to start the whole thing, from scratch. If you've been doing FM for some time, for a year, for 2 years, whatever it may be, you pick things up very quickly, don't you? You have to survive. And that means that would mean it would make the whole qualification study and qualification process a lot easier for you. Any more questions? I think I've got another one here, and the question being asked is, what is the schedule of your training program? It depends what you mean by schedule. The training course which I've just done this week, we schedule that happen once or twice a year depending on demand. On the other hand, you may be asking what's included under that heading, in which case the best way to find out would be to go on the Informa website and follow through and check on training programs for facilities management. And there it does set out in quite some detail exactly what's covered on those courses. Just one other thing to add, by the way, is that coming out to this region, what's been negotiated with the BIFM is that when I do the course here, there's an assessment, a short assessment at the end, 45 minutes or so, and when people pass that assessment, then they're awarded CPD points. So that's another attraction for people in this region. You don't have to come all the way to London to attend events to get CPD. There's another question which I've just spotted, and that is someone questioning how long this webinar is scheduled for. And what we do is we try to talk for about 25-30 minutes and give plenty time for people to ask questions. Because what we find is, fine, the bit that I deliver, that's fine, that's good information, but we're really concerned to answer questions raised by people. And what we find is that 30 minutes is a good divide. It gives people lots of opportunities to ask questions like the ones which people are asking right now. I think there's another question about qualifications, and that is to do with what exactly is available. I'm not really familiar with the way that qualifications are measured here in this region, but suffice to say that what we use in the UK is we follow the government guidelines, and the way it's done is in levels. So starting at level 3, which would be first line supervisory management, level 4 coming to manager level, level 5, and level 6 would be degree level. There's qualifications by the BFM at all of those levels. So you can come into that process wherever you feel comfortable. But just to say that you will probably understand that at level 6, you really have to be committed. This is asking a great deal of you. However, it may be the only way you can gain qualifications in FM. I know only too much about that because there were no qualifications when I got involved. And that's what I suggested earlier. I'm really pleased these qualifications are now available. Too late for me to take advantage of it, but it's not too late for me to be very encouraging to people who are coming up and who are trying to get involved and get qualified in this area. So there's another question here, and that concerns the main competencies regarding FM. Well, they do exist. I can't recall them. The way that the BIFM does this is by dividing FM into 20 different competences. They are available on the website. What I suggest is that you go onto the BIFM website and pursue that question there. There's a lot of detail there, and you don't have to be a member to get hold of this information. All this information is available for anybody who logs onto the website. There's another question here, which is asking a question about is there a way of getting a better rate if the training is done on a personal interest? It's unlikely, to tell you the truth. The way that we structure the training is by making it available to all. And of course, the more people there are on the course, the better. And actually, people do learn from each other as well. And so what is available is to structure these courses in-house. That's another way of doing it. And I think that actually would work out more economic rather than sending a number of people onto the public course. And Informa, I'm pleased to say that Informa do in-house training as well. And so somebody like me would come along and do in-house training for a corporate, for an organization. And that, in fact, would work out more economic for the organization who elected to do it that way. Yes, a question again on qualifications. It seems to me that this webinar has sparked a whole series of questions about qualifications. And I have to tell you that is what I'd expect in the UK as well. FMs are waking up to the fact that they're doing a pretty good job, but it's not recognized. And the way to deal with that, of course, is to go for qualifications. And I absolutely agree with that. And once again, I would like to point you to the BIFM website. That's where you can pursue this and find out what they're able to offer you. Enough? Okay.
Hello again, folks. This is Hoda. I see a question here asking about the cost of the courses. What you can do is go to informamia.com and download the brochures, and they will have all the information regarding the discounts, the early bird discounts, and also the dates, the available dates. You will also have the venue details, the outline of the course, everything, the bio of the trainer. So all the information will be in the PDF brochure. So just go there, download it, and you'll find all the information that you need. Are there any other questions? Okay. Great. Well, we were very, very happy having you guys on this webinar. The link will be emailed to you after the webinar, and you can view and download the recording of this webinar. So thanks to all of you, and we wish to see you on one of our courses and our future webinars as well.